Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the Packaging Innovation Program webinar. I'm glad you're able to join us today, and we're looking forward to this presentation and a follow-up discussion. My name is Constance Gewa. I'm a Scientific Program Director at the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, and I'm joined by a number of colleagues who have been working together to pull all this together. I will now invite my fellow presenters to introduce themselves, and I will call out each presenter. You will introduce yourself, sharing your name, your institution, and your position. So I'll start with James Sternberg, please.
Hi, my name is James Sternberg. I'm an assistant professor at Clemson University and the PI on Clemson's side for the Packaging Innovation Program. Nice to see everybody.
Vani.
Hi, thanks so much everyone for joining. I'm Vani Estes. I'm the Vice President of Innovation at the International Fresh Produce Association and the Foundation for Fresh Produce.
Rebecca.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Jehu. I am a Scientific Program Officer at FFAR.
Max.
I'm Max Toplitsky. I'm a Chief Scientist at the International Fresh Produce Association and at the Foundation for Fresh Produce.
Tatiana.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tatiana Castro, and I'm a Scientific Program Associate at FFAR.
And Sam.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sam Bader. I'm a Communications Officer with FFAR.
Thank you all. Next slide, please. So this is the agenda that we have for you today. The first two items, the welcome remarks and the introductions, have already been completed. So we're quite efficient now. And after that, we'll have a quick follow-up or introduction to FFAR, and then a program overview, and finally get into the details about the submission guidelines. And also, we get to learn a little bit about the current program awardees from round one. And finally, we will close this session with a Q&A, an opportunity for Q&A session. Next slide, please. So just a few, some quick housekeeping remarks. So this session is being recorded for distribution on the organization's websites and also to the various attendees who are interested in this topic. Please use the Q&A feature if you have that. You have that on the lower part of your Zoom, of your screen, and use it to post any questions during the webinar. We will attempt to answer all questions during the Q&A session. And for any question that we're not able to answer, we will do our best to address that in follow-up communication. So I will now go ahead and give a short introduction to FFAR, and then follow up with an overview of the Packaging Innovation Program. And just also a reminder, we have the chat feature that is found at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to share any comments on that chat feature as well. So thank you. I can already see you're already introducing yourselves, and so that's a great opportunity to do that using the chat feature. So thank you. So just a little bit about FFAR. FFAR was established, or the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, also known as FFAR, was established in 2014 by the Farm Bill to connect funders, researchers, and farmers to pioneer the next frontier of agriculture innovation. Next slide, please. It is our mission to build unique and collaborative public-private partnerships that support scientific research to address today's biggest food and agriculture challenges. Next slide, please. And so we know we have what we call what is the FFAR factor. And that is going back to how we support research and the kind of research that we support. FFAR's research complements USDA's research agenda. It fills critical knowledge gaps. It increases public agriculture research investments. It focuses on actionable science and involves farmers and various stakeholders to solve current challenges and moves research from the lab and into the field. Next slide, please. And with that, I'll now move ahead to program, to the just an overview of the packaging innovation program. I'm sure many of you are here to hear more about that, so we'll get to that. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the program itself, giving you just the history of the program, which started last year. Clemson University and the Foundation for Fresh Produce of the International Fresh Produce Association, in partnership with FFAR, was selected by USDA Foreign Agriculture Service for the implementation of the Assisting Specialty Crops Exports Packaging Innovation Program, also known as the ASC-SPIL. The purpose of the program is to develop packaging and packaging alternatives for specialty crops compliant with emergent packaging regulations in the EU, UK, Canada, Japan, and other key markets. The program focuses on 3 tracks: applied research and development, which is known as track 1, and that is managed by Clemson. We also have track 2, which is also referred to as technology accelerator, and is managed by the Foundation for Fresh Produce. And then we have the 3rd track, also known as Scale Up and Pilot track, which is managed by Clemson University. FFP will manage track 2, as I mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. So to just give you a little more detail on the craft, on the tracks, and more of this will be presented by Bonnie and James in the next few minutes. So track 1 aims to bring nascent packaging format to the pilot stage to demonstrate commercial readiness. It seeks proposals aimed at bringing a solution that is still at the laboratory stage, but shows high promise to be implemented in pilot scale manufacturing with minimal further effort. Track 2 focuses on commercialization of novel packaging or packaging alternatives that are either in late stages of trials or are market ready or are already generating revenue through partnerships with end users, industry mentorships, and pilots. This track seeks proposals aimed at scaling innovations in sustainable packaging for the fresh produce industry. Track 3 aims to establish commercial feasibility, manufacturability of innovative packaging or packaging alternative solutions. This track seeks proposals to run pilot scale manufacturing projects aimed at commercializing a packaging solution for specialty crops. Successful applicants to this program will be recruited into one of these 3 tracks. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a detailed presentation on each of these tracks in the next few minutes. So what are we seeking? Next slide, please. Through these 3 tracks, we seek 1, to identify and support companies of all sizes and researchers to develop, scale up, and commercialize solutions that address emergent packaging solutions, either pending approval or already in effect. We also seek novel sustainable packaging or packaging alternatives that can replace single-use packaging and single-use plastic packaging, but can offer at least some of the same functions in an economical and scalable manner. Examples include, but are not limited to, an extension of shelf life, delay or management of ripening, reduction of physical damage, food loss and food waste, prevention of cross-contamination, and absorption of moisture. And I'd like to refer you to the RFA itself for additional examples. Next slide, please. So here are some of the considerations, the key considerations that we are paying attention to for this RFA. Proposals that focus on the development of novel materials must clearly indicate the source of the material, its uniformity, and its availability at the scale needed to provide packaging or packaging alternatives for a meaningful segment of about 7 million tons of specialty crops exported by the US producers. Proposals that focus on compostable packaging must indicate compliance with common home and industrial compostable standards or plans to determine the compostability of the packaging construct. Proposals describing biodegradable packaging other than home and industrially compostable must clearly explain the end of life of the packaging. And proposals that focus on reusable packaging must take into consideration the regulations that require reusable packaging to be collected and returned to the origin and then reused for the same intended purpose. Next slide, please. So what are priorities and requirements for this program? The research must address at least two of these questions. How does the activity advance the goals of maintaining or increasing U.S. exports of specialty crops? How does the activity enable U.S. exporters to comply with emerging regulatory requirements for packaging and labeling? And we refer you to the footnote within the RFA for these regulatory requirements. How does the activity support the development of packaging materials that are alternatives to single-use plastic packaging? How does the activity support the development of reusable packaging systems for the export of specialty crops? How does the activity support the export of specialty crops that will be sold at retail without packaging? How does the activity reduce food loss and food waste of exported fresh produce? And how does the activity promote the implementation of novel sustainable packaging at a commercial scale for exports of specialty crops? Next slide, please. So the following is a list of examples of activities that will not be supported by the program, the ineligible activities. Development of improvement of infrastructure for composting or recycling or refill or reuse. Projects that are broadly considered social science research, for example, but not limited to surveys of any kind, consumer and or retail education or behavior modification. Fundamental research on materials that have no clear viable pathway to pilot scale or cannot be demonstrated so in the project time span. Packaging for foods or commodities other than specialty crops. Packaging formats that need to be separated to be recycled or compostable. And shopping bags and alternatives. And there's a full list of ineligible activities within the RFA. So we are referring you to the RFA for that full list as well. Next slide, please. So the program will support a maximum of 20 awards. Funding per project will range from $50,000 to $150,000 US, with a project duration of 12 months and the indirect cost of 10% of the total cost. Please note that this will be a reimbursable award, not prepaid, with quarterly invoicing and reporting. Next slide, please. In terms of eligibility, the program welcomes applications from domestic and international companies of all scales, institutions of higher education, non-profit organizations, for-profit organizations, and government-affiliated researchers as well. Applications from international entities are invited as long as there is a clearly described collaboration with the US-based researchers, packaging companies, or exporters of specialty crops. Any individuals with skills, knowledge, or resources necessary to carry out the proposed research as a program director, a principal investigator, is invited to work with the organization to develop an application for support. And all applicants must have a unique entry identifier, also known as a UEI number, which could be obtained via registration in the U.S. government system for award management, www.sam.gov, before receiving any funds. Applicants with inactive, expired, pending, or excluded listings will be deemed ineligible. Exceptions, waivers, or extensions will not be considered. I will now invite Vani to provide details on track 2.
Okay, good morning again, and happy to talk to you about the Technology Accelerator. And this is track 2 of the program. And this isn't just another accelerator. It's about solving one of the most pressing challenges that's facing our fresh produce industry today. So we're very excited about bringing you this program. Next slide. The program's brought to you by the Foundation for Fresh Produce. And the Foundation for Fresh Produce is a global foundation whose mission is to grow a healthier world by changing the trajectory of human health. We believe fruits and vegetables are the answer, and we must remove barriers that prevent people from eating them. And we do this by boosting appeal, improving access, nurturing passionate professionals, and scaling partner impact. And you can use this code to go to the website to learn more about the foundation. Next slide. So this program, we're in our 4th year of this program. We've been running this accelerator. This past year was funded by USDA FAS, and this current year will be funded as well. But we ran the program before we had funding, and it's been a very successful program with a proven track record. We always look at market-ready technologies, not early-stage research projects, but technologies that are ready to fit into the produce industry and be scaled up and adopted quickly. We have accepted 9 to 12 companies per year. We look at finding the best companies and pick the number that works with the best companies between 9 and 12. And as was said, the funding is 50 to 250 in non-dilutive funding. Next slide. So I'll go through the awardees for this year, and I'll just tell you the company and also what the title of their project. And then you can go to our website, freshproduce.com, and go navigate your way to the accelerator page, and you'll get more information about these companies and the people who participated. So if you want to know more about them, and I'm sure if you're a person that's thinking about applying, they'd be happy to talk to you if you wanted to hear about their experience. Next slide. First company is Acorn Technology, and the project title is Eliminating Single Wrap Plastics in Hothouse Vegetables. The second company is Coromat, and the project title is Accelerating High Performance, Low Cost Circular Packaging. Third company is QuickLock, and they were developing traceless tracker produce labels. Next slide. Packet Green, project title Oxygen and Moisture Barrier Coated Bags for Fiber-Based Packaging of Pre-Cut Salads and Other Cut Fruit and Vegetables. NNZ, Advancing U.S. Specialty Crop Exports with Next Generation Tray of Packaging. Nat4 Bio, Biocoatings for Cost-Effective Replacement of Plastic-Based Packaging and Waxes. Next slide. SaverPack, avocado ground transportation without cold chain. Peel-On, sustainable compostable packaging to extend fresh produce shelf life and reduce food waste. And last but not least, Sway Innovation Company, scaling and commercializing compostable seaweed-based packaging for specialty crops. So you can see the wide range of different types of companies that we had in the program. And it was great to have them together as a cohort that they could talk to each other, learn from each other. And it was a very successful program this year. Next slide. So when I talked to the participants in the program, what they told me they loved most about the program was the real world experience that they got. We took them to many different parts of the supply chain for them to really be able to see what kind of things does packaging have to deal with? And, what kind of problems are we trying to solve? And it's one thing to be testing something in your lab. It's another thing to be out in the field and seeing if produce is packed in the field, what does it have to go through? When you, on the left-hand side, that's a bagging facility of leafy greens. What does a package have to stand up against to be in that supply chain? And then on the far right side is printing, a place where they print on plastic and make plastic bags. What does your solution have to stand up to be able to be in that part of the supply chain? Next slide. And what they learned is really what works, not just an idea or a theory of what could work. So we spend time in the field of really trying to understand and as I said, seeing different parts. A couple of things I heard from the participants' visits that they liked the best. One was Emerald Packaging in California, where they print on the bags to go into the produce industry, and just understanding the scale of what a solution has to work at to be able to fit into the industry. And then another visit that we made was to a Walmart distribution center, which was like nothing I'd ever seen before. But we walked through the distribution center, and there was a room where we saw where packaging failed, where the tops of a blueberry clamshell was busted open, or the bags, had not functioned correctly. So we really got to see different parts of the supply chain, what's needed. It has to meet all of our criteria, and it has to fit into the industry. Next slide. So just to be clear, for this particular track and track 2, we're looking for established companies, startups, and other innovators with innovative packaging solutions that replace single-use plastic economically and sustainably throughout the supply chain. They reduce food loss and waste while maintaining product integrity through shelf life extension technologies, and they're market ready. This is an important differentiator, or in late stage trials capable of scaling within 2 years. Next slide. So who should apply? Proven technologies. We had a number of the companies this year that already had their product in fast food industries, or their product was already being used elsewhere. So we're really looking for, that's a good potential where people are already proven, they've already scaled, let's bring it into produce. Or startups that are looking at a variety of different markets. So we really want to bring in all different kinds of innovations from many different kinds of company. Has to be ready for late stage testing at scale. And also a lot of companies, the produce industry is a little opaque, and it has a long, very important cold chain and logistics. We have to keep our product cold, can't break the cold chain, and it's a perishable product. So there are some different requirements. So understanding what those requirements are and meeting the important people in this industry is something that we can really help companies with, that allows them to scale faster. Next slide. The benefits, I think we've gone through, but the funding opportunity, which many of the people in my program say, of course, funding's great, but the networking is what got me. So we also give people industry experience and collaboration with different companies. We had, when we visited this company, Emerald Packaging, that I mentioned, we now have 2 companies out of the 9 of our accelerator that are now in trials and working with them and seeing if Emerald Packaging can use their product. Market readiness, we help with market readiness going to these different markets that have changing regulations. We give strategic tools and insights, life cycle assessments, regulatory guidance, and IFPA also has a lot of consumer behavior analytics that we can help you understand what consumers are willing to accept. And unparalleled networking, just being able to talk to the C-suite of these large produce companies and understand what their needs are. Next slide. So before I go into more details of the program itself, I want to invite everybody on this call to our Packaging Innovation Event Storm. And this is happening December 9th. So this is happening before the deadline, which is December 17th. It's a 3-hour program that we bring everybody in to map the challenges and opportunities. And we want to bring in people from all parts of the supply chain, exporters, importers from other countries, and just really map out and understand what is the problems, what are the things that we're trying to solve. It's virtual. Here's the QR code, please grab this and get in touch with me. And everybody, you don't have to be a member. You just have to be interested. So anyone who's interested in jumping into this, that would be great. Next slide. If you've never attended an event storm, it's a collaborative process like no other. We'll work together to map the entire value chain, and you'll listen to and engage with people who have diverse perspectives and experiences: packers, exporters, machine makers, material manufacturers. And through this process, we'll get a shared understanding to identify product market fit opportunities. So it really will give a picture of the whole supply chain and the needs. So this is where theory meets reality, where your innovation meets the real challenges of the supply chain, and where you can discover what will actually work in the market. So again, we really invite people to this event storm. We will also have, for those of you that are filling out applications and may need help, we'll have a breakout of being able to help you finish your applications and get it in by the due date. Next slide. So this is the timeline. December 9th is the event storm workshop. December 17th is the application deadline. We'll have an immersion and integration experience sometime in May and June that we're setting up that will allow participants to engage with the industry and with each other. We'll have a demo day in August. This will be in Salinas, California, in the heartbed of leafy greens and strawberry growing in the US and vegetables. And that'll be bringing in potential customers so that the companies can pitch to potential customers, both just to be challenged and also for potential collaboration in sales. And then we have a very large show, our IFPA show, Global Produce and Floral Show in Orlando, Florida, October 15th to the 17th. And this is a meeting place of over 20,000 people in the global produce industry. And each person in the accelerator gets a booth and gets to be able to participate in all the activities in that show. So this has been a really cornerstone of the program and successful way to network. I also do an interview for my podcast, Fresh Takes on Tech, and you'll be interviewed, and that podcast will be aired as well at the show, which gives increased exposure. Next slide. So things for you to do and take away is join us in this event storm December 9th. No matter if you're in this webinar, you should go to the event storm if you're interested enough to be involved. And then start your application. For those of you who haven't done these types of applications involving grant monies, it takes more time than you think. So start working on that right away. Next slide. So thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation, and really invite you to be involved with us in the program and wherever track you fit. And hopefully I look forward to seeing you at the event storm and also seeing your applications. With that, I will turn it over to James to continue.
Great. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Again, my name is James Sternberg, coming here from Clemson University, and I'd like to just describe track 1 and track 3 of this program. These will be more research and development based tracks, and want to describe what kind of projects that we're looking for. Next slide. So as mentioned, it's important to keep your proposal and your idea focused. As Constance kind of outlined, all the research activities must answer 2 of the 6 questions listed in the RFA. And really the 2 most important questions to help focus your proposal will be, how does this research activity advance the assisting specialty crop export objectives and the Foreign Agricultural Services goal of maintaining or increasing U.S. exports of specialty crops. And then how does the research activity enable U.S. exporters to comply with emerging regulatory requirements for packaging and labeling? So you have these two, all research in these tracks really needs to address specialty crops and an emerging regulation or a established regulation in an international community. And then along with that, these activities obviously must benefit U.S. exports, not shipping in those foreign countries, but rather exports to those foreign countries. Next slide, please. So the most probably common question that I get either via email or to other researchers when talking about this program is what kind of solutions are needed. And honestly, that's a little bit of your job to do, to figure out how your existing research or how a solution that you might have could be applied to specialty crops and to specialty crop exports. In my, if I had any advice, it would be to maybe start with some of these regulations, read through them, such as the PPWR, for instance, and then see how an idea or concept that you have might apply to that. But in very general fashion, what are some of the solutions that we consider? Obviously, increasing post-consumer recycled content, increasing reusability and traceability of packaging. There are certain compostable packaging designs that are targeted in certain areas, such as compostable PLU labels. Obviously, finding new formats to replace PFAS, getting rid of shrink-wrapped and individual containers for less than 1.5 kilograms. That's specifically a PPWR stipulation. Right. Next one here, sticky labels for fresh fruit and vegetables that are home and industrial compostable. And then other types of coatings or etchings or ways that packaging can be minimized or even removed entirely. And other compostable solutions, because in Europe, each member country is allowed to come up with their own sort of regulations on compostability. So these solutions are still in play. And so we will actually go through some of the first cohort and some of their solutions, and they might give you some better understanding of what kind of ideas we're looking for. Next slide, please. So track 1 in our program is meant to basically take a material or technology that is already at a significantly high TR level where you understand its performance and its synthesis. And then you need to basically do a little bit more work to get to the pilot stage or the full scale stage. And so track 1 is, we call it applied R&D, but it's really focused towards doing a pilot study. So if there's a little bit of additional work that needs to be done before you can do a full scale, either pilot manufacturing run or pilot testing of the packaging itself. And so it's really obviously for university-led teams, it's I would say essential to partner with someone capable of doing the commercial scale production of this material. And it's also very much encouraged to validate or to work with either a packaging manufacturer, a producer, grower, handlers that can help you understand what requirements are needed for the produce that you're targeting. So again, even though this is applied R&D, it's not just about providing sort of fundamental knowledge. It's more about proving a packaging design, proving a product and getting it to a stage where it can be tested commercially or at the larger scale. Next slide, please. Then track 3 is just these larger scale piloting runs themselves. So if you want to scale up your manufacturing or test different products on the commercial scale, or if you need to set up and run some pilot scale manufacturing projects to demonstrate that this technology can be run at scale, and including all of the metrics for cost associated with its production. So this can be both manufacturing, and if it has to do with putting something in the market, so slotting fees and retail settings, that kind of thing, that can be included in this as well. In the first track, or in the first round of awardees, we had a couple of I'd say international companies that were awarded, but the sort of essential part of that makes that a valid award is that they do their pilot scale production or their pilot activities in the US. So they're showing how their technology can be applied to US crops and can help in the US exporting market. Next slide, please. So a few things to include in your proposal. This is in the RFP, but just so it's fresh in your mind. Include in your budget if you'd like. It's not a requirement, but we do have an awardee meeting. We just wrapped up last week where all awardees are required to come and present on their project, discuss their current results and progress. So it would be advantageous for you to include that in your budget so that you can use your funds to do that. Obviously, make sure to pick a subset of specialty crops. Vagueness is not your friend here. So make sure you're looking for one or more, possibly a whole set of crops such as berries or fresh cut salads and leafy greens, that kind of thing. Obviously, reference which new regulations you're addressing. Make that very clear. Then make a good case for how this technology will become a commercial product. So we're not just looking at research for research's sake here. We're actually looking for its application. And always keep in mind, how are you helping specialty crop exporters? And so that's why it might be very good for you to partner with a producer, grower, exporter, or shipper to help make your proposal stronger. Next slide, please. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the first round of awardees and help you kind of understand some of the projects that were desired in the first round of this project. Go ahead and advance, please. So applied R&D here from Metal Chemie. This is a UK-based company startup. The development of biodegradable agar cellulose active packaging for specialty crop exports. So they're developing antimicrobial coating. Next slide, please. With Envirovate Materials, this is a startup here in the US. They are creating compostable PLU labels. Next slide, please. From the University of Missouri, the development of novel translatable sprayable coating materials for antimicrobial food packaging. Next slide, please. From Clemson University, the development of cross-linked starch-based barrier coating materials for paper packaging of almonds. Next slide, please. From Virginia Tech, scaling up sustainable chitin nanofiber packaging technology for energy-efficient specialty crop exports. This includes a passive cooling technology for crops. Next slide, please. Also from Clemson University, compostable price lookup stickers and labels from plant-derived plastics. Next slide, please. From It's Fresh Ltd, which is another UK-based company. This is reducing produce wastage and increasing the sustainability in the US fresh berry industry through implementation of active ethylene controlling paper-based packaging for both export and retail. Next slide, please. From the University of Maine, the development of fully recyclable cellulose-based packaging for berry export. Next slide, please. From NatureSweet, company that many of you might be familiar with. Less virgin plastic, more sustainability, a circular packaging approach for snacking tomatoes. They are innovating a new 100% PCR packaging for cherry tomatoes. Next slide, please. Now we can talk about some larger scale pilot projects. Next slide. So this from the University of Georgia Research Foundation, scale up and pilot production of home compostable label adhesive for fresh produce. Next slide, please. From Vireo Advisors, advancing the commercialization of cellulose-based food coating, establishing a food-grade production process, and achieving regulatory approval for new applications and specialty crops. Next slide, please. From Biologic Incorporated, piloting of a bioblend technology for sustainable specialty crop packaging and scale-up, where they are using some of their innovative resins to improve the recyclability of packaging materials. Next slide, please. From Michigan State University, pilot scale testing of recyclable and compostable all-purpose corrugated boxes for specialty crops, where Dr. Rob Nawaz is in the process of commercializing a coating for corrugate materials, enabling the enhanced recycling of those boxes by not using the emulsion-based or the acrylic-based materials that are typically used, or waxes. So he has a polyester-based materials for compostables, or for corrugated materials. Next slide, please. Oh, I think we're going back through some of the same ones again here. Somehow they got duplicated. So I think that was the end of the round, the first year, the first awardees in this program from track 1 and track 3. And I think now we can just skip through these because we've already gone through these slides. Oh, here we go. Great. Thank you. And we look forward to your application. Please obviously reach out to me if you have any questions, and you can also ask questions at the end of this webinar. Thank you.
All right, thank you, James. Okay, so now I will be talking about the application components. Next slide, please. So you will submit a full proposal, and that'll be the first part of it. And then in the full proposal, you're going to provide a project information. So in there will be the project title. You also will talk about the project start and end date, the specialty crop of focus, suitability of technology for value-added products, identify track for which the application should be considered, the technology readiness level, the grantee status. So this is more of if you are a new applicant or resubmission, the geographic location, the total annual budget request, and the total potential matching funds. This is optional. So next, you're also going to provide the executive summary, and this will be a one-pager. And in there, you talk about the technology description, type of packaging and target crop, description of how the solution addresses international regulation on packaging and which foreign regulation the technology applies to. You also provide description of which markets are targeted and the path to scale up and commercial viability. Next slide. Next is the project description. So there you're going to provide a short introduction or state of the science review of current packaging solutions pertaining to your technology and their application to specialty crops. There will be an introduction to technology or product and how it provides a solution to current need, description of the partnership that will enable scale up and commercial viability, measurable objectives of the project, project method, and intellectual property management plan. Then you're also going to provide some additional information, which will be more on the reference cited, the budget justification, qualification, and commitment of key personnel, organizational assurances, if applicable, budget form, and this is really for anyone that's going to have a match fund, and quarterly Gantt charts of project goals, objectives, and timeline. And then you could also provide some graphic figures, equations, and tables as optional. Next slide. So this is really for applicants that are considering resubmission, and this is from the previous call. So applicants are allowed to resubmit an application, but they must follow this year's RFA guidance and eligibility. So they must provide the title of the resubmission, and that has to really match the original application that was submitted in the previous call. They must also provide a primary response or a summary response to the peer review comments. And this summary response must address changes made to the applications and cannot exceed 1 page. And of course, they must also include the original peer reviewer comments that they received. So please note that for any previous submission to be considered a new application and not a resubmission, at least 50% of the content in the research plan must be changed and the title must be different. Next slide. So now I'm going to go to the application submission guidelines and also the key dates. Next slide. So your submission is going to go through the FFAR grant management system known as Blackboard, also short BBGM. So new users must register for an account, and a reminder to also save your work as often as possible by clicking the Save and Finish later. And then you'll be able to access your application through the same system. So only applications that are received by the deadline through FFAR's grants management system will be accepted and considered eligible for evaluation. Next slide. So here are just some key dates that have been highlighted here. More details are in the RFA. The application opened last month, October 15th, and it's due December 17th. It's going to go through peer review, and then on or after May 13th, we will notify selected grantees, and then earliest project start date will be June 1st. Next slide. So this is the award information. Constance covered that, and I'm going to reinforce that again, that we are going to award up to 20 grants between the amounts of 50,000 to 250,000. This is reimbursable, not prepaid. And the indirect cost is about 10% of the total direct cost, and the duration of this is for 12 months. And awardees of track 1 and 3 are required to attend the ASCE Packaging Innovation Awardee meeting at Clemson University. And awardees are reminded to make sure to include those funds in their budget, or the funds to cover this trip in their budget. Next slide. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the application review process and criteria. Next slide. So proposals will first be screened for their suitability based on the executive summary and eligibility. And after that, we are going to notify proposals or applicants that are going to be rejected. And the selected full proposals will go through peer review, which are considered the primary review phase. And then the top ranking proposals out of peer review would then now go to the program executive committee review, which is the secondary review. And then after that, proposals will be assigned to tracks, and then the track lead will then now notify applicants of their status and also handle the grants agreements negotiations. Next slide. So applications submitted to all 3 tracks will be reviewed together. However, applications will be scored differently based on the tracks. So track 1 proposals will be evaluated based on the feasibility of entering the pilot phase of development. track 2 and 3 will be based on the commercial potential of the sustainable packaging or packaging alternative and the likelihood of its adoption by the agriculture industry and packaging manufacturing distributors. Next slide. So the primary reviewers or peer reviewers will be evaluating proposals received based on relevance to export of specialty crops, novelty or innovation, project strategy and feasibility to achieve project goals, technical or scientific merits, commercialization potential, compliance, source material availability for novel types of packaging and packaging format or packaging alternatives, likely cost of the final packaging or packaging alternatives versus benefits it provides, organizational capacity or research environment, qualification of the research team, and budget justification, including reasonableness of the expenses. Next slide. So finally, I will talk about the award administration before we get to the Q&A. So next slide. So if you're selected for funding or not, you will receive an email notifying you on the status of your application. You will also receive the peer reviewers' comment summary. Now, award notice does not obligate funding until a grant agreement is fully executed. Contracts with selected application will be negotiated and completed either by Clemson University or by FFP. So grant period. So grants may only use funds on project expenditure on or after the start date, which is June 1st of the grant, and projects are expected to be terminated within 12 months from the start date. The first deliverable is expected by September 30th, 2026. Post-award management. So there'll be quarterly technical and financial reports, quarterly and annual progress reports, reimbursable, as we mentioned before, but not pre-paid award. And final progress reports will be provided within 90 days of the end of the project. And the final quarterly payment is conditional upon the receipt of the final technical and final financial report. Next slide. So this is the contact information for scientific, programmatic, and grant-related inquiries. Please submit this to the FFAR grant. There's the email provided here. For specific questions for track 1 and track 3, that will go to James. And then for track 2 specific questions, will go to Vonnie. So now we are going to move on to the Q&A session. I will invite our comms officer, Sam, to facilitate the session.
We can't hear you. They're muted.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you everyone for your great questions. Many have been already answered in the Q&A box, so reference that if you've submitted one. I'll give a reminder that the full application, the full RFP included frequently asked questions is available on our website. I will drop that in the chat right now as a reference. And I first want to begin with, let me make sure I have all of them. Our first question is, can we submit multiple applications on different streams of the innovation program with different ideas?
I believe that answer is yes, you can. There's no restriction to the amount of tracks you can apply to.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next question, are there extensions planned on the current SPIL award program?
If you are a current awardee, just please email me and I can talk through what the process will be to try and go for a second year of funding if you're a current awardee.
And if we have been awarded an SPIL before, can we apply to this funding program with new ideas?
As far as track 1 and 3, we do not have a restriction against applying again if you were a previous awardee. I don't know about you guys, Bonnie.
Yeah, same, no restriction.
Great. This next question may be a little bit similar to the first, but I want to make sure that we're answering all the questions. Can we apply to the same research track, but on one project as a project lead and then on another as a collaborator?
Yes, you may.
Is there any rule regarding intellectual property?
Bonnie, would you like to? I don't mean to be hogging all the questions. I know how
No,
fun
that's okay. I don't have anything in track 2. I think the only thing to keep in mind is that, anything that you send on the application is kind of considered public, so don't be giving us your intellectual property on the application. But other than that, going forward, it's your IP.
Yeah, same for track 1 and 3. You keep all IP. There's no we don't have anything to do with that.
Does the applicant have any obligation to share the results of the R&D activities?
Well, they have the responsibility to show their impacts and to show what the outcomes are. If there are certain data and results that they'd like to keep back, that's perfectly fine to protect their IP. But there must be we have quarterly reports and this annual meeting and the entire reason for this program is to show assistance to specialty crop exports, so that the outcomes and the progress and that kind of thing has to be displayed in some way, case or form. But if there's some data or some kind of results that you'd like to keep back for your IP, that would be acceptable. I don't know if that question applies to you guys, Bonnie, just because the accelerator doesn't really deal with data that much.
Yeah, but I think the same is true. If there's something that you put in your application that you have to show some technical results, it doesn't have to be to the detail that it's giving away any IP.
Okay. Is there any limitation regarding expenses that occur in any country that would not be reimbursed?
Say that again. Is there any?
So the question is there any limitation regarding expenses that occurs in any country that would not be reimbursed? I think they're basically asking, are there countries that wouldn't, that expenses would occur that would not be allowable?
Max, would you like to take this?
Yeah, I can take it. There are a number of countries that are ineligible to receive federal funding from the United States. And as you submit your application, you will describe your budget in reasonable detail. And then we will make that assessment based on your application. But if you have a very specific question about a specific country, just reach out to us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, these funds have to be used in accordance with the USDA's budgetary guidance, which is what's the document name again, Max or Vonnie? The CFR 200, I believe.
Correct. These are federal flow-through funds. So 200 CFR applies both for domestic spending in the US and also spending overseas. But if you have a very specific question about your budget, just reach out to us and we'll walk you through it.
Okay. There were a number of questions earlier in the chat about which TRL do I need for which specific track. For those that had those questions, I believe we answered them, but as a reference point, Most of that information is available on page 5 of the RFP. If you're quickly trying to reference it, it is throughout the entire RFP. So I do encourage you to fully read that RFP. But if you're looking for it quickly right now, check page 5 of the RFP for TRLs and tracks. Separate from that, I think this is a separate question. So I'm gonna relay on my scientist to make sure it is. The question is, what prototype scale is needed for track 1 at the end of the project?
The scale would be it would be ready to enter into some kind of a pilot project. That would be the scale. So you're basic. I mean, if you want to think about it, it's track 1 is essentially to enter into track 3. But we also, welcome that if there's a start of a pilot program that you could begin at the latter stages of track 1, that's fine as well. But basically, you're preparing your technology to be demonstrable on a pilot scale or on a commercial scale.
For international institutions, can I submit for track 1?
Yes, you may.
For international academic institution, what would be a clear collaboration with a US-based entity? Could you please give an example?
Well, if, for instance, you're an international institution, you'd want to partner with someone who has some stake in the packaging, production, and export value chain. So, for instance, if you partnered with a converter who's going to be making your package, if you partnered with a producer or grower who's going to be putting items into your package or using your technology, or possibly with another type of entity that has some stake in the packaging and exporting business in the United States. Ronnie, do you have any other ideas that I'm not thinking of?
Nope, I think you hit it.
Okay.
If it is approved, can we, the university, pay for our partner the company salary?
If they are a sub-award, yes, salaries are allowable. Yes.
Okay. We have a question from earlier. We did answer it in the chat, but it seems like we may have not fully answered it, so I'm going to reread it. The question is, I'm trying to find my organization, but it seems that they only have a full registry for nonprofit organizations. How do you find a for-profit organization? When you go to register, some of us are seeing an issue that requires you to look up an organization with only nonprofits listed as an option for lookup.
Marina is in the call, so Marina could answer. Marina, can you unmute and answer the question? Tatiana, can you unmute Marina?
Yes, Marina, you should be able to speak now.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Marina Middleton. I'm a grants officer at FAR. I am on the other end of the grants@foundationfar.org email address. In order to apply as a for-profit institution through the BBGM applicant portal, when you are setting up your applicant profile, it will prompt you to find your institution and there will be a search bar. It looks like many of you have already used it. You type in the name of your organization, and if you are a nonprofit, it will find you in a database of nonprofits and send you on your merry way. If you are a for-profit institution, it will not find you, but what should appear is under the message saying, "Sorry, we don't recognize you," should be a small blue link saying create new profile or create new organization. you should be able to create a new profile associated with your user account that describes the name of your institution, your address, and your website is the other thing that we collect at that stage. I believe we also get tax ID. And if for some reason you get to the searching your institution name stage and you can't find the link or you're not seeing it, please reach out to grants@foundationfar.org and we are more than happy to help you get set up in the new system. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Marina. All right, I believe we have all the questions answered in the chat. Gabriel, I see your comment in the chat. If we haven't answered your question, please retype it in the Q&A box. And I'm going to drop the email that Marina just mentioned in the chat right now. So you'll all have that. If you have any other questions, anything that we haven't answered fully enough for you, please drop them in the Q&A chat. All right, Gabriel, I see your note. Thank you. In the chat box, I just dropped the email that Marina mentioned. That's where you reach out directly if you're having application questions or technical assistance that you need in the actual application process. Okay, I'll just give it a few more seconds. See if you have any last outstanding questions. And then again, a reminder where you can find our application. It's on our website. It's been dropped in the link a couple of times, but if you're just navigating to the FAR website, go to the FAR website, check our open opportunities. It's one of the top listed opportunities at the moment. And in there, you will see frequently asked questions as well as all the contact information. So in the RFP on page, I'm double checking, making sure I'm giving you the right information. Yes, on page 17, you will find contact information that details who to contact for application technical support and whether you have questions about track 1, track 2, track 3, which contact you should be reaching out for that. So page 17 for that contact information for specific questions. Okay, we have one new question that came in. How will funding reimbursement work? Is the full grant amount split 4 ways for each quarter?
At least through the Clemson process, you will submit invoices. And you can submit them on a monthly basis if you'd like, or on a quarterly basis. But you will submit invoices and those invoices will be reimbursed.
Same with us.
Thank you. Okay, we are caught up in the Q&A box. We've answered the questions that were submitted to us ahead of time. I see no more questions in the Q&A box. I will pass it back to my team.
Thank you so much, Sam, and all the presenters, and also all of you who attended the session. We're excited about this opportunity. This is round 2 for the Packaging Innovation Program, and we're looking forward to your applications. We're looking forward, if you have any questions, you know who to contact, please reach out to us and keep this engagement ongoing. So thank you.